Well, hello all my wasteland wanderers. Today I got the episode 4 review for season 2 of Twisted Metal. It just dropped. This was the one that really had me thinking, all right, this show is really kind of going above and beyond anyone's expectations. This episode was legitimately hilarious and then actually kind of dark and then some kind of gross and then kind of emotional, because nothing says romance like infiltrating an armored vault, surviving cosplay orgy, and accidentally burning down a weapon stash while you're in the middle of doing it.
Well, I've done my job.
But before I get further into this review, don't forget to take a moment to like and subscribe. Every episode in the season has a weird name, and it's essentially a shortened phrase, let's get busy. Considering of what happens in the episode, this would make sense.
It's building tension.
In the words of the actual title of the episode, let's get busy into my review. So now we got the heroes, John and Quiet, and they decide that the Friday night is best spent planning a heist at Diesel City. It's a place where violence is banned, commerce is king, and snipers are politely stationed for crowd control, maybe? I don't know. They managed to get their way in with stealing some ID badges and dressing similar to whoever these people are.
How's everything so crisp and clear?
But one thing I'm finding about Quiet and John is that the actors, Anthony and Stephanie, have actually a really great chemistry, but it doesn't feel like a sexual chemistry. It just feels like a friend chemistry. But then they had these scenes a little later on that I'll get into then that were like very sexual in nature. At the same time, they just don't look like they're a sexual couple. They just look like they're two friends. But they do have really good chemistry. This was, again, the episode that really got me thinking, like, man, like, why is this show so much better than what people were expecting? I really think people are missing out if they're not watching this show right now. There's no way it's going to be better than Fallout Season 2 if that comes out later this year. I would already put this at the second best show, and I'm only in episode 4. It's kind of the perfect mix of everything about the entire series. That dark humor, the violence, it literally like ran the gamut of emotions through the entire episode. But once they get into the inner sanctum and then they encounter some weapons that are auctioning off these weapons like some kind of rare, unique painting, like they got them hanging out there like Renaissance paintings, but way more deadlier. But this episode also featured a highlighted performance by John Daly, who I've always been like whatever about John Daly, but I actually ended up really liking him in Fallout. He was like actually just really good in that role, and he really committed to it and was just funny. And here he is again, and his character is simply just called the Emperor, and he kind of dresses like an emperor with the weird wreathy stuff in his hair. But he was equally as funny and wacky as he was in Fallout, though also terrifying because they're straight up just talking about buying and selling all these bombs and then talking about how they've taken out outsiders with weapons. And so John and Quiet are there secretly like swearing at them and wanting to take them all out because they're talking about blowing up people that they know or people like them like it's nothing. So this episode was quite funny, and again, the actress who plays Mayhem continues to impress me. She's just so likable. It's almost irritating how likable she just comes off on the screen. You can't help but like her. The actress herself, she's actually been acting since she's been young, quite young on other shows or like Nickelodeon type stuff. When they get to the peak absurdity moment of the show or with an insider themed orgy, because what's more fun than people role playing as wasteland scum while sipping cocktails.
Damn, that is sweet. Usually means it's full of booze.
And there's actually some funny moments between Stu and Sweet Tooth, a socio-psychopathic murderer and a serial killer. Stu's talking to him like he's kind of a little kid, and they're trying to like go buy stuff. Sweet Tooth just keeps wanting to spend their money on stuff. We need to be careful and only buy what we really need to buy, as if Stu is the one who's the boss and not Sweet Tooth. So Sweet Tooth actually wastes their money on a velvet cape, and then he starts using it to basically commit stealth strangulations when no one's watching. There's a pretty funny moment between John and Quiet where they go to the orgy and they have to start doing something or they're going to look suspicious. So they just start kind of going at it and rolling around on the floor, but it's this interesting dance where they're pushing each other in specific directions by doing a quote-unquote doggy style and then doing quote-unquote missionary to go underneath a table. And it was just kind of this funny little dance moment where they're at one hand playing along with the orgy, but at the other hand really getting into it and getting into each other, turned on with each other moment by moment. And then eventually that leads to them near the end jumping on top of each other when they're supposed to be grabbing these new weapons. But so instead of swiping his weapons, instead of swiping the weapons, we finally get to see why this show is rated TVMA, but in true Twisted Metal fashion, their passion literally catches fire, setting the vault ablaze. So there they are, riding each other, surrounded by fire. I don't know what's going on with that part. Do they realize the room is on fire, or is their eyes closed? Or are they just thinking the stand that are that hot? Well, why those two are getting it on and the room's full of fire, Stu shows up and somehow manages to take all the weapons because he only has a backpack full. But yeah, somehow Stu just got free from this sexual quote-unquote torture he was just going through. He shows up and takes all these weapons while John and Quiet are getting it on when they're surrounded by fire. Fire which somehow didn't actually set off all the weapons. But okay. And eventually the only one leaving with any arms is Stu, evidently deciding it's time to embrace villainy. As Stu is walking out the front door basically with a backpack and a machine gun in his hand, and he just starts open firing them and carries out the massacre with all the chipper zeal of someone who just got their first toolbox. The show is pretty chaotic and random. It still works. Even though there's like random chaos, there's still a method to the madness. You get some really good world building and character bonding, but with also some smoke and scorched vaults as wallpaper, and a beautiful gonzo transition into the tournament. So what's the final takeaway for Twisted Metal Season 2 Episode 4? It's a heist, it's a romance, it's a fashion statement, and a flamin' good time. Ta-da! We're back into the mayhem already, so buckle up my survivors, because nothing screams family time like a grenade race under an eclipse. Let's hit the road and check out Episode 5. On your mark.
Calypso.
We finally get our first full look at Calypso at 5 episodes in. Really bad hair that looks like, I guess it's trying to be obviously look like a wig. So then we see Axel, the sizzling heartthrob of Wasteland Tinder. Dollface just can't look away. Axel keeps drinking gasoline. So romantic. Love is so combustible. And theirs is literally flammable. We have a weird reunion between Stu and his old friend Mike, who was gone for so long since episode 1 you forgot. Season 1 you forgot about him, but Stu and Mike were friends when they used to work together in the police or whatever their version of the police was. The other thought the other was dead. Mike is definitely not a fan of Sweet Tooth. Once he learns that Sweet Tooth and Stu are working together, but it's a weird little awkward moment. But then at the reunion, Sweet Tooth aviator base or whatnot that they're in waiting for the race to start, Sweet Tooth sees John and Quiet, and the most disturbing group hug ever. Stu barges in with murder in his eyes, kind of feeling jealous, but then when he sees Mike and his maybe a new boyfriend, I don't know, they're not really saying, then Mr. Grimm shows up and we get our first full look at actual Mr. Grimm in full gear with his leather suit and apparently Sweet Tooth and Grimm have history, and Grimm actually calls him by his real name, Marcus, which causes some radioactive, soul-crushing tension. Meanwhile, Mayhem is going around trying to mess with people's heads, but he tries to sow discord faster than the latest TikTok trend, whispering rumors and gossiping like a columnist on crack. His long hair, maniacal interest, total eclipse spectacle. He lays out the rules, the 1, 2, 3 rules of the tournament.
1. Grab a package.
Like a carnival barker with a death wish. Then he announces that there is a qualifying round where you have to deliver a package. We have to deliver a package, and whoever wins gets past the qualifying round. So picture the apocalypse version of Amazon Prime. It's the most like the games it's ever been. Racing down a street and trying to blow up each other up, and there's really great stun work happening on screen. Missiles going everywhere, cars going everywhere, purple smoke. So then when the race starts, it's Fury Road meets Demolition derby. Mayhem's car ended up breaking down because Quiet sabotages it, then steals another anyway from a competitor who already got shot. Once Quiet learns that she actually still managed to get out onto the road, because she's trying to do the race on her own, which is just kind of dumb that she thinks she'd even have a chance. Quiet can't help herself. She has to go back and help her. That's just a part of her that connects her to her brother, surrogate little sister. So because she lost her brother, she finds a connection to Mayhem. So she just wants to go back and save her. She doesn't want to go back and save her, but she has to. It's not even a want. It's like she's angry but she has no choice. They have to turn around and go back and save her. The previous episode 4 was a little bit longer at like 32 minutes. This was only 25 minutes. But I like that they dropped episode 4 and 5 back to back. And they're going for 12. So does that mean next week's going to be 2? When the episode ends, it's just when John and Quiet do a U-turn mid-race to turn around and save Mayhem, because when kids are involved, even a world-devouring tournament can wait. So episode 5 revs into chaos, delivers lore, and a reminder that family is the apocalypse's most combustible element. Tune in next week, because if your car is not exploding, are you even playing Twisted Metal? So those are 2 solid episodes back to back. This show is just getting better as it goes along. We're almost already at halfway. Already, I believe, a far better season than 1, and 1 was surprisingly good. 1 was so much like that episode itself. The season is already clipping along at a pretty steady pace. We're almost already halfway through of the 12 episodes. We're going to be at episode 6 and 7 next week if they're going to keep dropping 2 at a time. Otherwise, this was another great, absurd episode. We got a preacher beacon talking about eating munches for infants now. Then we got this guy, Axel, who's so jacked up and forgoes coffee for a gasoline shot, a barista of doom. But Calypso, but because I love Anthony Carrigan so much, glad to finally get to see him in full frame as Calypso. So the majority of this season is going to be this tournament. John and Quiet, and then Dollface and Mayhem, of course. Because right now they're planning that each of them enter, and then whoever wins gets to pick the wish, assuming they're all going to wish the same thing. But if Mayhem won, she's saying that she wouldn't wish this what they want. What Quiet, John, and Dollface want, if they were to win, is to wish that the walls would be down forever. But that'll probably will happen later in the season. They'll end up winning anyways. They'll end up winning, but they'll get screwed over anyways, and Calypso will just laugh and say, I was never going to give you that wish. But there's nothing like seeing Anthony Carrigan again, narrating the impending doom like Shakespeare meeting Mad Max with a really bad wig that he bought at Halloween store. So that's it for me, people. Don't forget to tune in to next week. Tune in next week, because if your car is not exploding, are you even playing Twisted Metal? Don't forget to like and subscribe. And then don't forget, above all else, to keep gaming.